called alcoholism your superpower. And I've noticed, in both of our lives, the superpower for alcohol was, especially in business when it comes to leader, it's that social lubricant. How is it your superpower?
Man, I thought I was growing my business by entertaining boozing clients, strip clubs, martini lunches, trips to Cabo, trips, wherever. But it was all focused around booze.
Uh-huh.
I thought booze was like growing my business, and it was, and I was an all-American at it.
Whenever you talk about like in the book, you have a book, and we're going to get into more with the book, and we encourage people to purchase it on Amazon with the link below. Whenever you're talking about like wives, you have a chapter in there where the wives were angry at you. What were you doing as a leader to promote your team, to help your team? And then was alcohol kind of the center of it all?
Yeah, I thought like we would go work hard during the day, and then I would call for a happy hour and be like, hey, let's meet at Las Margaritas or Hector's or wherever. And I think I'm doing this great thing of having all this camaraderie and it started out that way for probably 15 minutes until all the booze and the shots. And I was like, hey, let's get this thing wrapped up. Oh, hey, let's buy these people shots over here. And then before you know it, it's a raging party. And I'm like, hey, let's keep this thing going. Let's go have dinner over at Daniel's and fire back some bottles of wine. And my guys are like, oh, that sounds great. Instead of going like, I should go back to my wives and my dogs and my kids. But, they were following my lead, and I was carrying the torch and using booze as my superpower. So, man, there would be a lot of times that the wives would be like, who's this prick you work for? And why are you out? And what are you doing at a strip club now? Like, yeah, it was not the best leadership and role model I was, even though I thought I was. And booze was the whole focus point around that.
Yeah, it's so funny because, in the book, you even talk about you had a couple that would leave their car,
Mhm.
they would leave their car and then it turning where they were kind of tell that story with that. That's funny.
Yeah, so they would, good friends of mine, they're in my closest circle. They would go meet up at happy hour. They both drive, and happy hour would lead into many, many, many cocktails. And they would either Uber home or one car home. And before you know it, it'd be like, hey, we got to go get the car. So they would go back and rinse and repeat. It'd be like, while we're here, why don't we have a drink and a bite to eat? And a bite to eat turned into more cocktails. It rolled into happy hour to let's invite some people. And before you know it, their car was left there 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
It was just like Groundhog's Day for me. Like, we're going to get the car, but we might as well go in and have a couple drinks. And a couple drinks just kept going and going and going.
Yeah, because then you used alcohol and this partying. It kind of promoted you and maybe we can go into a little bit. You have a picture in your book of your dad at 10 years old giving you a beer. And that sounds cool, for dudes. It's like, well, that's super badass. But you used it to kind of gain access to, because you were in an extremely competitive, and I want you to kind of maybe go into this a little bit, but you're in an extremely competitive environment. In finance, being a vendor to dealers, that's a pretty competitive, but you use the alcohol to get you to be successful in that. So how did that work? As far as you using it as a tool?
Yeah. Even my competitors in my marketplace, I'm still good friends with them today, but I could gather all my competitors and let's go have a happy hour. Let's just talk about life and become friends. Because it is competitive. You run across these guys walking into dealerships. So you might as well, hey, if I'm running into these guys, I'm going to make friends with them. So, but it focused around, how about happy hour? How about a drink? If I knew they liked a bottle of wine, next time I saw them, I'd give them a bottle of wine, be like, oh my God, Ian, that's great. And I've always asked my competitors for leads. But yeah, I use going out for happy hour to leverage all those relationships. And I thought booze was the focal point of everything for me growing my business at that time.
Yeah. And when you were 10, can you kind of describe how your family life was? I know you shared a little bit about your mom and dad and stuff, but like were you raised in Washington State mostly?
Yeah, for the most part, I was raised in Bellingham, and then I left at the age of 12. And my brother stayed back in Bellingham, and I went to a place called the Salton Sea, the armpit of the world. At that time, I thought when I moved in August, when it was 120 degrees from Bellingham. But my parents, they were pretty much social alcoholics. It was all, their whole world was around booze. If people were over, it was booze and foo-foos and apps. If they were going out, it was booze. If people were over, it'd be like, hey, we're going to have a barbecue. It was just like, who's bring your own booze? And like, I grew up with booze. That picture is, I was at the age of 1 when I had my first drink up in Sudden Valley. And, I was drinking it. My dad gave me a sip of Coors at 1 year old, my little spinny thing. And I was a bartender at the age of 13 for my parents' parties because I figured, man, I can make some extra money by mixing drinks for these folks and they love me. And I'd suit up a little bit and they'd be like, oh my God, your son's so amazing. And I remembered people's drinks. And if they were barely, halfway done, I'd refill them again because it just drive tips for me. So I grew up.
It was commonplace like that was just the thing.
I grew up with that. That was my upbringing. My world kind of. I grew up with booze. I sipped on booze. I got us kicked out of Shakey's Pizza in Bellingham for sipping foam off beer at the age of 10 years old. Yeah. So my whole life, I grew up around it. So it was just, that's what I thought life would be like.
I know a lot of people. You're from Washington. I'm from. I lived up there for a lot of years. So it's like middle class, upper middle class, loggers. That whole Boeing, all of that middle class lifestyle. A lot of people are functional alcoholics. Do you feel like that was what your dad was and you were?
For sure. Absolutely. Functional alcoholics. So, social alcoholics is the term I like to use, but absolutely. I was very functioning alcoholic. I thought I'd be a rock star if I could, hey, I didn't drink for 3 days. I'm fine. But then I would just be right back out the sap. Because a Friday would go around, like Friday day, it'd be like, hey, we're going to have my guys and we're going to go have happy hour. And oh my God, it'll end on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And I know, but like one of your darkest moments was, because I want to fast forward, we'll skip around, but we get with your family a little bit more of your history. But can you take us to the moment at Schicksal Hospital in that Duffy room? What was the thoughts that you were going through? What was kind of the darkest parts of that?
Yeah, because at Schicksal, they punish you with booze and ipecac, and it's violently vomiting. And kind of on the third day, probably at my bottom, because sitting there when you're staring at a clock and you're just vomiting for 3 hours and getting everything out of your system, you're like, man, what am I doing? You're having flashbacks of like childhood, like where did all this start? Why am I this way now? Can I come out of it? Can I be a better person? It was just a flood of emotions. And on that third day, because I went in there to save my family, my kids, my job, to be a better husband. And on that third day, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and says, hey, man, unless you're right, there ain't anything ever going to be right. So you need to focus on you and get your shit together because nothing will be right unless you're right. And that just kind of like hit me between the eyes, like, I need to do this for me. And because I was looking at everybody else. I was like, hey, I'll do it for my bosses, for my kids, and like I'll be a better dad. But until you're right, nothing will be right.
Yeah, it's kind of almost a badge of honor. I mean, you described it in your book. You're at a podium, and you'd been drinking and was giving a speech. It's that. I always wonder, like, when is the flip side of when it turns into something that's super cool and then it gets into that really dark place? Like for you, when was it where it's like, oh, I'm not literally functional anymore. I'm hurting the people that I love the most. When did that moment hit for you?
Probably the summer of October of, I've had all these flags going off in Vegas at a automotive summit, be in the hot tub, beers, and, we're 20 minutes from going to this function. And I'd be like, hey, another round of beers, we'll be fine. We can suit up. And one of the dudes is like, hey, you might want to slow down a little bit. And I was like, yeah. I had a lot of those. Hey, you might want to slow down a little bit. You might want to have to slow down a little bit. And it really didn't hit me. When I got out of rehab, I got served papers. And that was like the reality of like, oh my, this is real. And I created a lot of damage and carnage behind me. So that was a bit.
Was that like your window of grace, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it was a big pivotal point for me of like, man, I could go back to drinking, but I just came out of rehab. I thought I was finding myself, and I think I was finding myself. And that was a big pivotal point of, man, I could go back to drinking and go back to my dysfunctional world because now my world's really crumbling down with a second failed marriage poking me in the eye. That it was like, hey, I'm going to stay on this path of like, I'm going to make it through this. I'm doing this for me so I can be a better dad, a better person in the future. So I will battle through this. I'm not going to use booze. I'm going to use all these other avenues that, in my circle to help me navigate through this.
Yeah, you even talked about in the book how your previous relationships, how they you even picked people that would amplify it. It was like you guys were like drinking partners. What drew you to those, or were they just drawn to you? Because I think a lot of people, the reason I'm asking this question, Ian, because I think a lot of people didn't even realize what they're attracting into their life in those moments.
Yeah, booze was such a focal point for me. I think I was attracting it to them more than them me, right? Like I tell one of the stories is like super poor. We would scramble for change on a Friday, like today, it'd be like, oh, what change we got so we could go buy a $6.99 box of wine from Rite Aid. But I was the instigator of that. And people just kind of followed that. So I don't think there was one really, they were always by my side. I don't think
that makes
what one lead me. I was always the leader, the wolf pack, and I just had all these coming along with me.
Yeah, and it's such a fun time, and it feels so good because I was in the car business, and I had a manager that was that way, and it like in my hindsight, I saw how luckily I was single at the time, so that was easy, But it was the proverbial you work 6 7 days a week, you come in on your days off, and then everybody showed up after. Sometimes we'd be doing car deals till 9 10 o'clock at night, and then it's a given. Like, okay, it's 10:30. You're going to go to the bar afterwards. So, and then you look at those type of people. Go ahead. Yes.
I was in a store to where if it was kind of after hours, we had a car deal, we would line up and, hey, grab a shot real quick. This is only going to take about an hour. So we would be doing shots in the sales tower.
Oh, yeah, that's really common. Yeah, I had a GM that would make mimosas on Sunday morning.
Oh my God, yeah. The good old days.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to, this was a really cool part of your book. And I kind of want to get the emphasis of what made you decide to do this. I know in AA, there's a step that you do this, with people, but you had your children write honest letters about your drinking days. And that was like floored me. What hit you the hardest with those? And what did it help you like see who you really were? Did the mask come off then?
For sure. When you can be stripped down with your kids and because they grew up in the same house, right? So my son
Okay.
who drinks today, not probably as much with his old man, not because I'm not pushing shots and like, hey, let's have fireball shots after we've had a couple beers. So I was always the dad that I thought I was doing a really good job of like all the kids were at my house. I knew what was going on. Hot tub party, barbecues. Let me fire back some shots with these guys because I could be the cool dad. And then I'd get a text from my daughter, hey, could you turn the music down? Who's trying to study? So yeah, it was like, really? Come on now, you party pooper. But when I read those letters, man, and it gets me emotional to this day of reading, those kids grew up in the same house, two different. They didn't know what kind of dad they were going to get. Were they going to get the happy dad? Was there going to be a whole entourage of people coming home tonight and we're going to have another barbecue on a Tuesday? And those kids were just so resilient. My relationship with them today is phenomenal, but it's very emotional too. And it tugs at your heart to go like, wow, what kind of a dick dad were you? Well, I thought I was being this cool dad. Well, reality, like that was like, my goodness, man, did I create some damage? And what kind of therapy do we have to go through to fix all this?
Yeah, it was kind of almost, and that's something that you could be super proud of is that you had this generational cycle that you had to break, from family. And I don't know if your dad's parents or your mom's parents were alcoholics too. But this was ingrained from your childhood. What do you think led up to that point? I mean, obviously you had that window of grace that happened, but people that they don't understand this generational cycle, and maybe they can look at it from a spiritual standpoint, or they can look at it just from I was ingrained. I was just around alcohol. That was normal. What do you think, when somebody's trying to break these generational cycles?
Somebody has to, who's the one? I'm the one in my family. You really have to, who's going to be that one? I'm still the alpha leader wolf pack. Like if I want our families together, I'm the one that coordinates it, which we're going to have one this Sunday. That wouldn't happen. There's always got to be the one in the family. I was always the one that could generate parties, be the life of the party, think being the funniest. I'm still that guy. I'm setting the tone for a sober guy. And everybody in my circle and outside of my circle, like, man, this guy's kind of transformed from this. How did he do it? Like you lost 80 pounds, you don't drink, you're still got all this charisma and you can put all this stuff together. So yeah, I'm the example of the one. Do I think I'm doing making an impact on my family and, nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts, uncles? Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, because whenever you see that, and I always let people know this. When you can alchemize the addiction that you have, there's good parts to it. And maybe you'll disagree, this could be controversial, but a lot of people that I know and that that have problems with addiction are also great entrepreneurs. They have this like risk part of them. So when you alchemize it, it's really cool because it's almost like, they're looking at kids now with, all these different, how they have telepathy. There was a thing I watched the other day, a scientist lady, and she's like, these kids that we think were nonverbal are actually communicating each other. And we've done scientific studies and it's hugely accurate. And I think, especially with alcoholism, it seems like that is the juice for the entrepreneurial, for that one that is in sales and business and can do really well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, alcohol is so socially acceptable. And you could say it's in the car business. Well, it's not. I've been around enough bars and sat and met enough people. It's in every single industry. There's not one that drinks more than the other, I don't think. Does sales have something to do with it? Because, we're such strong A type personalities and driven that I think I would have been way more successful non-booze in my prime when I was building my business. I think I talk about it in the book, is like it's driving down the freeway at 70, 80 miles an hour. And man, you're trying to get in that fast lane and the HOV lane. But I was driving with the emergency brake on. Man, if I would have had that emergency brake off and not had being held back by booze, of how much farther along I would have been as a husband, a dad, a business owner, a friend. And man, it was freeing once I released that emergency brake.
Yeah, it's almost like alcoholism is like a cheat tool that we feel like we need to do the entrepreneur, but it's really not. It's kind of bad. It's just bad medicine. But to me, it helped me be a better. I thought in that moment it was the social lubricant that would help me be a better salesperson or a better leader.
For sure. I agree 1,000%, because I just got louder and I thought more funny, and all that social lubricant was like, and I was just the accelerant. Like I was the gasoline to a party, man. We are going to it's always going to another level. If I thought it was at a great level, we're going to another one because there's got to be, right?
Yeah, at this wild lifestyle that you lived, to losing your marriage, was like, how tough was that as far as like your commitment to sobriety? Was that journey, did that test you a lot? I mean, as far as like, and I mean, you don't have to get like super personal or anything like that, but I know a lot of people lose relationships and it's a catalyst to end up, starting to drink again. What is that? And I know you have a wonderful relationship and you have, which is awesome. You have a woman that knows you not drinking. She knows you being sober. So, what was that like going from the wild lifestyle to losing the marriage?
Yeah, and there were so many red flags, and I would just be this rude, vulgar. I would take it over the top, and we're having parties at her house, and there's 25, 30 people. She was a victim of a lot of my cattiness and me thinking I'm being funny, to where I'm really being super rude and vulgar. And man, that just I henpecked her for so many years that she just suppressed it, and dealt with it and was a trooper with it, that it was really tough. I had to really look at forgiveness, right? I really had to forgive myself for all the horrible things I've done to a lot of people and vulgar, rude things I've said to people. And not that I need that forgiveness from them. I really had to look in the mirror and forgive myself. And that really helped me move on because I just destroyed that thing over time. And she's just finally had enough. And I completely get it. There was no saving that because I did so much damage for so many years. But to come out on the other end, to have a great relationship with her, to have a great relationship with the kids is huge. And that's a lot of just reflection in the mirror. Man, you got to look at yourself. You got to forgive yourself, believe in your current self, and create your future self. I like kind of live and breathe by that. Like you really do have to forgive yourself. You can't go expect those forgivenesses from people because you may never get them, which is okay. But you really just got to go, hey, man, I'm a way better person today, and I'm going to try to be a better person every day going forward. I kind of live and breathe that motto.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it's kind of whenever you look at, like you're talking about forgiveness and the other side of that, and you talk in your book about gratitude, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But for me, I think trying to establish self-awareness, it was I'm not good enough, and I want everyone to like me. So I always felt like I was not, I could be number one sales guy. I could have the best gross numbers as a sales manager, all those different things. And I'm still I'm still wanting acceptance, and I think there's a lot of people that are out there. When you have alcohol, that goes away kind of, like for me, it turned me into, I'm the cool guy. Jason will do anything. Let's go run and do this. We're like running down the middle of the road. Let's, take a fast car from the dealership, which is totally illegal, and stream it down the road. Like the list goes on and on and on as far as like doing over the top things. And all I was doing it for is to get attention. And there's this whole idea of me not feeling like I'm never good enough, whether it's in a relationship or whatever. And alcohol fixed that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I definitely use that as a band-aid to cover my insecurities or the need to always have people around and always be the guy and always be the people pleaser. Being a people pleaser, man, it's a full-time job. Yeah. And booze, was my superpower that I thought was helping.
Yeah, no, that makes 100%. You talked earlier about aversion therapy, and you read about that in a book. And I know it turned alcohol into something repulsive for you. How did you feel physically and emotionally when you saw alcohol after the therapy?
My aversion, as 7.5 years later, is still massively intense. It's crazy because I can still go sit in bars. I can go do all the same things I did before. That hasn't changed. Just take out the booze. So those troughs that sit there and they get the drinks and they're pouring shots or whatever. Sometimes I'll get a whiff of that, or a bartender's bringing by some shots for a table that's tequila or Fireball. I'll get a whiff of that, and my mouth will water instantly. 7.5 years later, like mouth water.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm gonna vomit. Yeah, so my aversion is still drastically high. I can mix drinks. Sometimes mixing a drink wrong or something walks by, be like, man, that just makes my mouth water. Or, I'll get chills sometimes. So yeah, my aversion for alcohol is extremely high still. I wish those were still around because I had such a super high success rate. Shadle did.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember the commercials that they had.
Yeah.
On TV and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the minute I read that in the book, I was like, I could remember. It's like they had a jingle or something, I think, too.
Mm-hmm, they did.
Yeah, when you stopped drinking, you just mentioned you lost 80 pounds. It's 84 pounds, right? And you regained your health. I want people to see the 2.0 of you and that they can have the same exact. I did the same thing. I lost like 40 something pounds. What you describe in your book, and maybe you can describe for others, why do you gain so much weight drinking?
Well, one booze, I could drink fast. I drink fast today. So I would have, my volume was there, but when the party's gone and the barbecue's over at 7 and you're still drinking, having fun, sitting in a hot tub, whatever's on TV is your excuse to drink more. And then it would be a great idea at 11 o'clock, 11:30, be like, hell, how about some Dick's Burgers or 100 tacos from Jack in the Box? Doesn't that sound great to just soak up some of the booze so we feel better? Hammering down food at midnight, 1 o'clock, 4 or 5 days a week. And then, I would always post in the morning. I'm always up. I'm always working. I'm always grinding. But to go to bed with another 1,500 calories of just absolute grease bombs in your body was miserable.
Yeah, and then people don't realize like the sugary drinks, how many calories are in those. You wrote that in the book, all the numbers.
Yeah, all the Trulies now and like all these seltzers they have, those really weren't around when I was around because I would have definitely hammered a shit ton.
That's like 250 calories per drink, and you start adding that up, or 150 calories. Some of these IPAs are way up there, as far as beers go. If you drink 6 or 10 of them, you're done.
I could go on a golf course and, I did a video not too long ago and people were like, oh, you rookie. But it'd be like, I could have 15 beers on a golf course and then we're going to go have lunch and have 4 or 5 vodka sodas and then roll home, maybe have another, 4 or 5 vodka sodas. You could have 30 drinks in a day and be like functional. Like it was insane. I could go toe to toe with one of my buddies and we could do 11-minute beers. So every 11 minutes, we're having another drink. Well, do that math when you're at a bar for 4 hours. And how many wasted calories that is. If you have 30 drinks at, say you're using Diet Sprite, that's 3,000 calories just in booze. And I probably ate another 3,000 in shit food. So yeah, I packed on the pounds like a large Marge.
How did facing physical truths about yourself, did that accelerate your emotional healing?
Yeah, because you just start feeling better. I mean, when you got your mental health and your physical health kind of in line, you just start feeling better. When you can look in the mirror and go like, ooh, you fat tub of lard, what are you doing? Fuck it. I'm just going to go drink some more, whatever. I'll cover this. It could be my Band-Aid. But then when you start feeling better and looking better and your muscle definition and you're stronger and, you got that and your mind going, man, it's life changing. It is absolute life changing. And I could walk around and be like, I was carrying, I don't know, bags of bark or rock or something, and it was 50 pounds. And I was like, holy cow, I was carrying almost double this, just wandering around aimlessly, building a business, thinking I'm this superstar.
Yeah, and your book goes into detail on the physical side. So I encourage people, like I said before, we'll have the link down below on Amazon. You could purchase it on Kindle or whatever. It's right there, and you have the soft cover on there. What are the things that you talked about? And there's like a society celebrates this, and I always thank the car business because I don't think I definitely would not be here because of all the post-traumatic stress disorder I had from the military and then coming in. So sales saved my life and cheesy car business saved my life. And this work hard, play harder mindset, I know it causes a lot of harm and there's kind of good and bad to it. How do you address that when you, as a leader, like work hard, play hard? Do you kind of like shift it away from alcohol? How do you do that?
Yeah, I still am a big fan of work hard, play hard. Because we're not here for a very long time on this amazing planet we're on. So you might as well enjoy every moment. And if you're stockpiling cash till you're 85, my dad died at 94 with nothing. My mom died at 84 with debt. So you can have all this money. And I got friends that died with multi-millions of dollars in the bank, and they didn't really enjoy life. They were just stacking cash, stacking cash, stacking cash. So there's this fine balance of enjoying your life, planning for your future, but man, try to be present in the moment. I was always, I forgot about my kids when I was in the hotel business before I got in the car business, man. It was all about career, 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 career. I'm going to do this. I'm setting my family up, but I wasn't present for my family. I was, I was, I was constantly, this carrot was always out there that I was chasing, and I was never going to get the carrot, but I wasn't enjoying anything around but chasing this carrot. Everything else around me was just kind of a blur. When I talk about being present in my book, is like, I thought I was a good dad. Because my kids were around and at baseball games, I'd have the RB there, which was really just a mobile bar for me and my whole entourage of people that I thought were my friends. And I'd make sure everybody in the stands had a beer or a Bloody Mary while my kids playing baseball right there. I'm more worried about everybody else in the stands than being, so I was physically there, but I wasn't present watching my kid, right? No different than having a party at my house. Be like, yeah, go upstairs and watch a movie. They're here, but I'm outside partying, making sure I'm the people pleaser for everybody else. I wasn't present. So big difference of being present for sure.
Yeah, I know sobriety forced you into vulnerability. What's the most surprising lesson you think you learned from embracing vulnerability as a man?
Grieving and forgiving yourself. You really, really got to
Grieving. What do you mean by that?
You can sit there and dwell on your past mistakes and have all these regrets of things you said, things you did, things you wish you would have done better. And you could really get yourself in a tailspin of living in the past of like what you could have been. And that was probably the toughest part of being emotionally stuck in that state, to get out of that and be like, man, my focus needs to be, how am I going to be better today going forward? I can't go back. I can't continue to look in that rearview mirror anymore. Like, that has to stop. And that was a battle for me for a little bit, to really stop looking in the rearview mirror, being like, man, you were a dick dad, and you failed marriages, you loser, just all those things. Instead of like, how can I be better today? Let me go prove to myself I can go be better today, and people will see that, and they have. So that was probably the toughest part. It's just all those regrets and forgiving myself.
Yeah, the regrets and the forgiveness. What was kind of the step that you took in forgiveness? Kind of forgetting the past or embracing it, going through everything that you had done, what was that process?
For me, part of it was I really learned to journal from after writing this book. I always thought like, well, 85-year-old women journal, not, 50-year-old dudes.
Right.
And when you can just get your thoughts, feelings, goals, ambitions on paper, it's so refreshing. Like, I do it every morning. It might not be a lot. It might be 4 sentences. It could be a page, depending on what's going on.
Okay.
And it's so freeing to just get it out. And I also got a life coach who I've had for 3 years. And if you can have somebody to talk to, that's old stigma of, oh, you see a therapist, what's wrong? There is nothing wrong. People use that word there. I relate it to like Tiger Woods, Phil Nicholson, Kobe Bryant, all these mega athletes, right? They all have coaches, and a lot of them have mindful. Not only do they have physical coaches, they have mindset coaches. And
Yes.
for me, having that outlet of an accountability coach, life coach, whatever term you want to use, she's been phenomenal for me. Lives in Florida. We talk every Wednesday for a half hour about everything in life, from kids to business to life to thoughts to feelings, goods, bads, and to just get that stuff out, right? Because us strong type A personalities, we just push everything down. We're good. We're fine. We're be battling. Man, you have to have an outlet to get that out, and you feel so much better. Like I feel alive after, one on this podcast talking to you, just getting it out makes me feel great. And if people can release that, and I have a phenomenal circle of friends, my core four, they're always checking in on me. We're checking in on each other. Hey, how you doing? How you feeling? Hey, I know your mom passed. You really haven't grieved. Are you doing okay? Man, that core people is also so important. But if you can release stuff and have a great communication with somebody, even if it's a stranger, man, you feel so much better just getting that stuff out, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's so good. And you wrote about that, being trapped in this drinking bubble, unaware of your anxiety. So, and I know you're describing it a little bit now, but can you go into more detail what life's like outside the drinking bubble? Like, how is your life now compared to it?
Man, it is so clear, and I have so much time. Like, I didn't realize how much time I really spent in bars and happy hours and
Yes, 100%.
or let alone the financial impact of that. Just my time alone, man, I feel like I've gained days within days. It's crazy.
That's so true. What are like if you're talking to somebody that's, maybe has a little bit of a window of grace and they have this drinking bubble and they're being successful, they're a leader and they're kind of the old you, but it's fearful. It's like taking those steps, what does it look like for them, on the other side?
Yeah, and I get that a lot. People are so sober curious out there. And I think there's this big sober curious movement going on with health and longevity. And, I'm seeing it across the country. And when people are in that bubble, I get a lot of questions of like, well, how'd you do it? It's be like, well, you really have to look in the mirror. Like I got a lot of people be like, well, I'm really trying. I only drink beer now. I used to drink hard alcohol. Hey, awesome. That's a great step in the right direction. If that's where your mind has to go, I'm not here to preach you to drink or not drink. I really don't give a shit because you're going to find out when it's your own time. Hopefully you catch it before something catastrophic happens, or like me, 2 failed marriages. And like, hopefully you can catch that bubble before the bubble catches you, right? The biggest thing is just that, where do you want to be? Like, is booze helping you or hurting you? Because for me, nothing good can booze. Nothing. As much as I thought booze was building my business, I look back now like, man, I had the emergency brake on for 12 years. What if I would have been on my game for 12 years without an emergency brake? So is booze helping you or hurting you? Kind of ask yourself in the mirror, what benefit is this doing for me? Is this helping me go to where I want to go next? In your business career, which people be like, well, yeah, I need to be social in bars. I could be social as shit in bars. I can be out till 1:00 partying with my clients, knowing they're going to feel like shit the next morning. And I feel great waking up at 5:30, working out. I probably need to order them a Bloody Mary at 9:00 for breakfast, right? But
Exactly.
I feel like $1,000,000. And that happened. I was just in Vegas a couple weeks ago. Same deal. Around people, clients. I'm up at 5:30 at the gym. We're meeting for breakfast at 8:30. These guys look like, man, they just got ran over by trucks. I know that because I've been ran over by those trucks.
100%. And one of the things that you talk about, and I'm so glad you do, because this is a pet peeve of mine, because I learned in my addiction, I was a super narcissistic person. So narcissism controlled me. So the only way to get past my narcissism is to have gratitude. And you say that in the book, you say gratitude combats entitlement. Why is practicing gratitude daily so important for you and also for someone fighting addiction?
Gratitude it helps you. It's calming for me. And gratitude is a lot of what I journal about. Thankful for my kids, thankful for my job, thankful for my gal, the smallest things. And my life coach helps me really, really get minute to this. I'm sitting in Arizona or somewhere, and she's like, when we're done with the call, I want you to be so grateful. I'm like, I am grateful. We just went through this. She's like, no, I want you to sit in silence and I want you to close your eyes and think of the smallest things. And then I want you to text me what you came up with. And it was the craziest thing. It was like, ooh, the smell of coffee, the palm trees blowing in the wind, the bunny rabbit that's just sitting there chewing, having an amazing breakfast on whatever he's eating. Like the smallest things of like, man, I got to sit here and witness that because our minds, especially business owners, entrepreneurs, strong type A personalities, your mind's just what's next, what's next, what's next. And to really slow down and appreciate what you got. It's kind of like, you know, we've seen this analogy to where the guy at the bus stop sees the guy on the bike. The guy on the bus stop wants to be, man, I want a bike. The guy on the bike sees the guy in a nice Honda Civic. It's like, man, I'd like to be in that Honda Civic. The Honda Civic sees the Porsche next door. He's like, when does it stop? When do you appreciate what you got? And go donate your time to something. To kids, my parents were both we put them in an assisted living home. You want appreciation and gratitude? There were people in there that never saw their kids. They're just rotting away in a retirement facility. So when my brothers and I would go in there, we were like their extension to their kids that their kids didn't give two shits about them. And you go, man, that helps you appreciate it, like where you're at, right? Like you really got to be so thankful just that, man, we can get up and walk. We get up and we you were homeless. So grateful that I just got a warm fucking meal. I'm so grateful that I had a warm coat. I'm so lucky that Bruce Titus let me into his store to have a warm coffee. Like, just go appreciate the smallest things in life that you got. We get so wound up. Somebody cuts us off in traffic. Who cares? It's okay. It's okay. So gratitude just really helps me get centered and balanced. Life gets so busy, and before you know it, the older we get, time is going faster and faster, it seems like. So we got to slow down that appreciation of what we got, even though we're all driven to go do something more. We want to, you want a nicer house, you want a better job, you want more money, you want to provide for your kids or your grandbabies or pay for colleges, whatever that is for you, that's great. But appreciate where you got now.
Right.
Appreciate right now. Like I appreciate my relationships that I have with my kids right now, even though I thought I had good relationships back in my drinking bubble, being the party dad, thinking I was this amazing dad and all the kids loved me because I would give them fireball shots. That was such a false gratitude for me.
Yeah, no. And last question in closing, and I don't want to get into your website and a little bit more in your book too, but the last question is, looking back, Ian, was alcoholism your biggest failure or your greatest teacher?
I think it depends how you look at it. I think it was my best teacher, and I caught it, I don't care what age, you caught it in time. We all have enough time it was my best lesson. I think your best failures are your best lessons, so be the first to fail. Go try it. If you're thinking about quitting drinking, just try it. See how you feel. See what happens in your life. See what happens with your relationships. Try for, they have all these challenges, right? Like, dry January for 30 days, people go dry. And then they're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I lost 10 pounds or 8 pounds. I'm glad January's over. February 1st, let's go party like rock stars. Well, go back to your dry January. How did you feel, man? I mean, like, it is life changing. Like, it is so toxic and poisonous for our bodies. We have no clue. And it's so socially acceptable that it's all over everywhere. Booze is great for you. Booze is the center of parties, happy hours. Like, it's crazy. But there is a big movement of people that are sober curious. I get it a lot. I'm sure you do with all the awesome stuff that you're doing, that people come up to you and they're very sober curious, which I think is changing. And I just encourage people to read my book, because my book doesn't really, hey, this is me being naked of like what happened in my life. And maybe you could pick up a nugget of that to go be a better you, whatever that version of you want to be.
Yeah, it's so impactful, your book, because it shows like you have pictures of your friends in there, you have those letters from your children, you have pictures of your family, like the last picture that you and your brothers with your dad, so those are things that I'm remembering. Those are the things that you remember, and the stories, you're not being judgmental or like, look at me, I'm this other new version, you pieces of shit, you guys should be this way. Some addiction books can be that way, or why aren't you doing this? You're just sharing your story and saying, hey, this is a guy that has done it, and you can too. If you want to leave like last thing, what do you want to leave with people? I mean, everybody needs to buy your book. like I said, we'll have that link. It's very inexpensive. I think on Kindle Unlimited, it's free. I
Yeah,
saw
it
on
might
there
be
like if you have,
$10 on Amazon. You can only get it on Amazon. But yeah, it's a great read. It'll impact people.
and you have a website. What are you, as far as like your website and stuff like that? What do you want to encourage people to understand on that?
Make It Great.me is just, it's all about motivation and how look at the best things in life. And again, have gratitude for what you have and appreciate for what you're working towards. I try to really put out, because there's so much negativity in the world. Like if all my social media is something positive, something impactful that you could use to just brighten your day, whatever that is. Because 3 minutes of the news affects 27% of your day negatively, which is crazy. And I don't watch the news. You can scroll through social media and get enough of what's going on in the world, and control what you can control, man. I can't control what really is going on in a whole lot of places, but I can control what's going on with me. And I focus on that. So if I was going to leave people with something, work on the best version of you. Try to be the best version of you every day. Every day is not going to be a great day. Not every day you're going to want to go to the gym. It's okay. But every day is a new day. And just be the best version of you. And if you're right, everything else will be right in your life. If you got a bunch of noise and a bunch of shit going on in your life, you got to fix that. And you can fix it. You got to look in the mirror and be like, it's on me. If you can really live by that version of it's on me is so important. And I preach that a lot, is like, whatever's going on in your world, it's on me. What can I do? And how can I be a better version? And be the one in your family. Somebody's got to be one in your family. Be the one. Just because you have an older brother doesn't mean like the sibling chain falls that way. I'm the youngest brother and I'm the one in my family. Somebody's got to be the one, and go get uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Because the only way you're going to change is to get uncomfortable, whatever that is. Like for me, cold plunges, I hate it. It sucks. It's miserable. It's horrible. I hate cold. I love heat, but I do it for the mindset of being uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for 2 minutes. But man, I feel so much better because I beat my uncomfortableness in my mind. It's a mind thing. It's not a cold. It's a mind thing. And
What I think of a lot of addiction is that.
if you can keep stacking those wins, those baby wins, like people try to tackle this whole thing. Like, I chuckle that because I was the fat guy. I'd be like, oh, it's January. I'm going to lose 40 pounds. Well, a week in, I'm like, I didn't lose 40 pounds. But if somebody would have said, hey, stack baby wins, lose 1 pound a week, lose a half a pound a week, and set real small targetable goals and stack them, is a game changer. Right. People go into these goals, be like, they're unattainable, so they quit. Stack little baby wins every day, man. And those in a year are massive.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you for being so vulnerable in your book. And like I said, we encourage everyone to grab it. It's wonderful that you work and now you're helping and serving others.
I appreciate it. And back at you, man. If I can't thank you enough, thank you for your service and, keep making a difference in the world like you're doing.